if you've discovered the vegan, high sugar or high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein lifestyle, then you've probably done it because you want to be healthy, because healthy people care about what they put into their bodies. And then the next thing you're probably thinking is, well, because you're still, maybe if you're new, or even if you've been doing the high carb, low fat lifestyle for years. So I've been doing the high carb, low fat lifestyle, and I've been vegan for 9 years. The most common question I get, okay, so I promote the high sugar freedom lifestyle and vegan for animals for me, but if you're watching this, you're probably doing it for health. The most common question I always get over and over again, because the propaganda, the marketing, the conditioning for always having the fear in the back of your mind about sugar and carbohydrates. So I promote essentially eating unlimited carbohydrates for unlimited performance. So not just in life, but also, so if you're exercising, so if at the core of your life you've got healthy food, and you might call it exercise, I call it having fun moving your body, and I enjoy cycling. That's the sport I promote, and that's because it's the most sustainable way to move your body to lose excess fat. Okay, so not running, for example, it's cycling. I always get, well, how much do I need? How much carbohydrate do I need? Because I can understand at first the unlimited. You mean literally unlimited? And what I mean by that is, so for example, what I mean by that is, if I had a day where I was maybe eating, so 3 main meals, and I had rice for all 3 main meals, so rice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So yes, I'm someone that sometimes does that. Not every day, but sometimes I do eat rice 3 times a day. And I might have, let's say, 500 or 600 grams of cooked white rice in the morning, just off the top of my head. So this might be what I'd have for breakfast, just because I know that when I have that, and I'll have it maybe with some soy sauce, or have it with some tomato sauce that I've made, or I'll have it as well with some fruit juice, I know that that amount of carbohydrate satiates me. So that's that amount of carbohydrate. And then if I repeat that, so I'm also going to eat fruit during the day and fruit juices, and then maybe in the evening I might have some more foods, like, for example, some ice lollies. I have even stuff like foods like that all year round. I can eat maybe some vegan low-fat crackers with some jam. And I'm always going to eat, for me, and I recommend for most people, even without exercise, eating at least 500 grams of carbohydrate a day, and that coupled with keeping your fat intake low, and just naturally, for example, if you're eating white rice, so on the side of the packaging, quite often I see, for example, dry weight rice, I see 84 grams. So for getting 84 grams of carbohydrate from 100 grams of dry weight rice, I would be getting about half a gram of fat. So I always recommend eat to feel full, and therefore you're eating at least 500 grams of carbohydrate, pairing that with low fat, low protein. So you'd be getting maybe 10 grams of fat just naturally through eating rice and fruit. And then through exercise, if you're doing exercise, I recommend, so for example, cycling is amazing because you can, if you want to, you can really quantify everything. So you have a power meter, you have a bike computer, and you can say, well, I'm going to ride for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And you can go, right, I'm going to eat 100 grams of carbohydrate an hour, and I'm going to ride for 3 hours, so that I know I'll be eating 300 grams of sugar. So there's that. So for example, as a baseline, I never eat less than 500 grams of carbohydrate a day. And this is because the primary energy system is glycolysis. And then the most efficient way to produce energy, okay, we are carbohydrate eaters, and that's because of literally inside of us, okay, the mitochondria, okay. The most efficient way to do it is to produce ATP. So ATP is used in order to power the ion pumps, okay. So for example, the sodium potassium pump, so pumping sodium out of the cell and potassium into the cell. So 3 sodiums out, 2 potassiums in, and literally ATP turns these pumps, okay? So literally you have like these pumps inside of you. So that's why you are a machine. And this is in order to create a voltage across the cell membranes in your cells. So that's what it all comes down to. It's amazing, isn't it? And no, fat is what's going to make you fat. Carbohydrate is not going to make you fat because it powers the primary energy system, and the way you manipulate the macronutrients in your body is the way that you will manipulate your weight. So if you eat lots of fat, you'll gain weight. If you decrease your fat and increase therefore carbohydrate, so generally if you're eating high fat, you're diminishing the other macronutrients. So if you want to be like what most people are, eating high fat, high protein, low carbohydrate, okay, so if you're eating steak and milk, okay, and fish, you know, milk has a little bit of sugar in it, but if you're talking eggs and steak and burgers, okay, and foods like this, I mean, I don't call them food, then you're eating lots of fat, lots of protein, and yes, you are getting only a small amount of carbohydrate. So yeah, if you have the Coke, okay, the sugary Coke, it's not the Coke that's making you fat when you go to McDonald's and you're eating the high fat food. Just like the donut, okay? Donut's a classic. If you get rid of the fat, and then in place of that, you have foods like, I say, white rice. So you're swapping it round. So you need to think of it as, well, I want unlimited performance, so I need to eat unlimited carbohydrate. So I always say at least 500 grams of carbohydrate a day for anyone. That's just to help get through this worry of sugar making you fat. Okay, so it's not going to make you fat. And that's why I always say at least 500 grams of sugar or carbohydrates through foods like white rice and fruit juice. And also white table sugar, okay, so white table sugar. So you work it out. So what this is about, okay, is working it out yourself, okay? So I'm saying at least 500 grams of carbohydrate to make you feel full. Because if you start eating less than that, you're not going to fully reach your potential every day. You know, if you start worrying about, well, oh, is it really, oh, and then you get worried about all these healthy fats, and you know, all this propaganda is just to try and get you worried about carbohydrate. Okay, sugar is fat free. Okay, sugar is fat free. So my bottles here that I made up with sugar water, sugar is fat free. Okay, sugar is fat free. So if you work it out yourself, so I would maybe recommend, for example, you can have fruit for breakfast, and then maybe fruit for lunch and rice for dinner, and then fruit juices during the day, and you're eating to feel full. So every meal you're eating feel full. Generally, I would say start lighter in the morning, and then by the time you get to the evening, you know, I generally enjoy a larger meal in the evening and maybe quite a large lunch. And then you could start lighter with juices and fruit in the morning, but still feeling full. So when I mean heavy, I just mean starches, heavy on the digestion. So quite often I find that people say when they eat their starch, so for example, if you have starch for lunch or starch for dinner, you get hit with that sleep, okay, starch sleep, which is essentially you have your rice meal maybe for dinner at 5 or 6 o'clock, and then all of a sudden, maybe half an hour later, you just want to fall asleep, and that's because of the starches. So if you just go along and you work it out, so generally you'd say, fruit compared to starches is a bit lower in carbohydrate calories. So, you can eat quite a lot of, for example, bananas, and you're getting lots of fiber. So you're actually getting that sensation where you feel full, but you need to eat more fruit in order to reach that same satiation. So that's why I like fruit juices as well, because you can really get satiated. And so you just work it out. So, rice is really good because you can really work out how much carbohydrate you're having. That's easy, it's on the packaging, whereas fruit, you'll have to probably look that up. And you could look on the Food and Drug Administration, the US Food and Drug Administration, just look on their website and you could find, a trusted, macronutrient breakdown. So at least 500 grams of carbohydrate a day. And then eat after that, you're eating to feel satiated. So when I eat my rice meal, so I might have some corn and some pepper, add some spices, some sauce. I eat to be absolutely full. So I eat till I can't eat anymore, and then I'm done. And then maybe if there was just a little bit more, maybe a few hours later, I might have again something like maybe some crackers, for example, low fat crackers. So at least 500 grams of carbohydrate a day. Keep the fat low. Okay, keep the fat low. Keep the protein low. And if you're eating fruit, that's also keeping the protein low. So fruit has low protein, not devoid of protein. So let's say, for example, today I had all fruit this morning. I had a large watermelon, and I actually had one and a half. I had one and a half of another, and then I had fruit juice, and I also had 6 bananas. So that would be, 200 grams of carbohydrate, let's say, just off the top of my head. And then I'm on a 5-hour ride, actually a bit more than 5-hour ride today. And I'm going to average 100 grams of sugar. So that would take me to, let's say, about 500 grams plus 200. So I'm already at 700 grams. And then when I get back, I'm going to have a big bowl of white rice, which is probably going to be about maybe cooked, at least 300 grams cooked. So I'm going to be looking at least 250 grams of carbohydrate in that, and I'm going to probably have a fruit juice. So I'm going to be looking at a kilo, maybe about a kilo of carbohydrate today, just off the top of my head. And that's just satiating. So listening to the natural feedback of, do I feel like I need to eat more? If I do, it's because I haven't satiated that urge, for example, for simple sugars, and just my body says it still needs a bit more glucose today. Can we have a little bit more? So glucose is the primary energy system, and we work most efficiently. We are satiated by glucose, not fat, not protein. The primary energy system is carbohydrate. Okay, so we use glucose, and then we use fat and protein as a backup. Okay, so fat and protein is the backup. Okay, so they're the backup systems, so gluconeogenesis. Whereas the primary energy system is glucose, okay? Glucose derived ATP. So I hope you enjoy the video, and like and subscribe if you want to get lean for life. So I live the lifestyle that I promote. So it's well tested, and I'm a human being just like you. So if you got any comments or questions, put it in the comment section. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.